Hey everybody, it's me, Brandon. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to just talk about a little bit about negative emotions and negative thoughts and doubts when it comes to manifestation and law of attraction. Everyone has experienced at some point in their life some self-doubt in either their self-worth or their ability to do something or accomplish something. This is fairly normal when you think about it because we've all been conditioned at some point in our lives, usually when we're young children, and it's usually by our parents or our peers, our teachers, people in authority, or television, film, things like that, that we take in. We take in these messages in regard to limitations that simply aren't true. There's no limits to the law of attraction. There's no limits to the universe when it comes to creation and manifesting what you want in your life. But often there are doubts, and when you are going down this path, when you're creating your reality, and we're creating our reality all the time, but when you're doing it intentionally and you have things that you want, many people do comment on their sort of roadblocks or their resistance. And I talked about resistance. I have a good video on that, on letting go of resistance and the power of letting go of resistance. But along the way, there are those negative thoughts and emotions, those doubts, those self-doubts. And usually those, again, are good indicators, very, very good indicators that you have some residual beliefs, some belief systems that you're still adhering to subconsciously, because maybe you don't believe them consciously and intellectually, but the subconscious, which is below the threshold of our conscious mind, that is where the beliefs are instilled over time from young childhood all the way up to, throughout your life. You act upon those beliefs and that belief system. And usually those beliefs, those limitations, they aren't serving us for the highest good, and they continue to keep that resistance going. And it's really important to try and address those, but you can't really do that if you don't know what those are, and that will enable you to release that resistance and allow the floodgates in so you can go downstream of the things that you want, of the components that you want, the people, the places, the situations, the circumstance, the events that you want to sort of conspire together to bring forth your desire. Now, those negative thoughts, they're going to continue to, if you believe them or if you experience them, it's not good to necessarily try to push them away or resist them or say no to them, because whatever you resist persists, and then that's just going to bring more of that to your experience. Like attracts like, law of attraction. You're just going to attract more of those negative thoughts, those doubts, those limitations, those self-imposed limitations based upon those negative beliefs that you have sort of garnered over time from being instilled within you when you were very, very young. We see something like this sort of played out in Walt Disney's Cinderella. So Cinderella, she's a very sweet girl, but she is made to go to work when she was a young child from her, her father passed away, and that sort of represents sort of the innocence of childhood that sort of fades away, but she continues to remain hopeful and positive throughout her life, even though her evil stepmother, which is her negative belief system, representative of her negative belief system, and her evil stepsisters, which are representative of her evil thoughts or her negative thoughts and self-imposed limitations based upon that belief system, that overarching belief system, because those thoughts are born from the belief. So the negative belief that you have spawns those negative thoughts. So her evil stepsisters and her evil stepmother are contributing to and causing her great strife and causing her to work and on her hands and knees and doing all this work, and they just live out, they live rent-free. They're just in the castle and they tell Cinderella what to do. And that so often happens. We believe negative thoughts and we believe these limitations that have been told to us, and we just succumb to them and we act them out, subconsciously. We don't rebel. We just continue to do the work of these negative beliefs, and they live in our heads rent-free because we've just taken them as fact, when in reality, they're subconscious behavior patterns and learned behavior, learned thoughts and learned beliefs. And then one day there's the opportunity to go to the ball. So Cinderella, she makes a beautiful dress and she's very hopeful that she'll get to go to the ball. And so she'll, see royalty. Even if she doesn't dance with anybody, at least she's there and she's having a good time. That's what she wants. She really wants that. When she shows her evil stepsisters and her evil stepmother, the evil thoughts, or her evil stepsisters, tear off all of the cloth and all of the dress that she made, tears it off and throws everything to smithereens, and she is left without anything to wear, and she can't go to the ball. And it's so often the case that negative thoughts, the evil stepsisters, and the negative belief, the evil stepmother just watched over it and said, and didn't even try to intervene, because that belief is going to just let those thoughts run asunder, and it's going to expand, especially if you just give into it and allow those thoughts to have their way and you resist them. Because Cinderella, she didn't want that dress to be torn away, but it wound up being torn off. It was all gone. And she broke down. Cinderella went to the garden and cried. And in that moment, when she gave it up, she let go, she completely let go. She knew she wasn't going to the ball, and in that moment, she let go of all resistance. And that's when the universe, or her fairy godmother, stepped in and provided her the things she needed, and the beauty and everything that she's wanted, and so much more than she asked for in that moment. And she got to go to the ball, and she met the prince. Isn't that lovely? But then she had to leave at midnight, because the evil beliefs, or the negative belief and the negative thoughts, they were still there. They were still at her. They were still at home. They were still in her mind, basically. And she had to go. She had to leave. She couldn't stay and enjoy herself. Everything was just going to go back to normal. So she had to leave, but she left something behind. She left the glass slipper, which is representative of her belief and her desire, and it's still there and it's still growing, and the prince sees it and finds her eventually. And when the prince comes to her castle, she gets locked in, where she gets locked in her room by the evil thoughts, by the evil stepsisters, by the negative thoughts and the negative belief, and they intervene. But eventually she remembers her self-worth, and she remembers her power. She remembers all the things that the universe provided for her on that night of the ball. And the prince finds her and takes her away to her happily ever after. And so, we see these messages in some films, and we see them in literature, and we see them in religious and spiritual texts. And sometimes we just take all of these stories at face value without really just looking into, what all this means. And it's so applicable to everyday life. It's letting go of those negative thoughts, those negative belief systems, and the self-doubts, those doubts, because they're not real. They have no power over you. We see that with Cinderella. There was no power. The evil stepsisters and the mother, the stepmother, they had no real power. They weren't really keeping Cinderella there. But, she felt obliged to be there. They were all she had. They were the only family that she had. And so she didn't know where else to go until she, let go of that resistance, allowed the universe to take over and show her her power. And she didn't believe any longer those negative self-doubts and the negative self-talk and the evil stepsisters and the evil stepmother. She just let them all go, remembered her power, and she went off to her happily ever after. So it's the same thing with manifestation. You have to really recognize that, if you have those self-doubts, if you have doubts, remember that these are just belief systems that you are basically thoughts. Thoughts are, a belief is just a thought that you keep thinking over and over and over again. And if you would just remember that thoughts are things, definitely, but the negative thoughts and the doubts, they have no real power. They have no real power over you, only the power that you give to them. So you have to make sure that, whenever they come, just say, oh, those aren't real. Just let them go. Don't resist them. Don't say no to them. Don't try to replace it with a positive thought. Just say, I allow you to be who you are, whatever, talking to a thought, talking to a doubt. I allow you to be who you are, and just let it be, and it will dissolve. And just turn the other cheek, like it says, I think it says in the Bible, to resist not evil, but overcome evil with good. So don't even give your attention to it. If it comes, let it go, let it be there, let it go, and just move on to what you want, and thinking about what you want, and talking about what you want, and doing the work toward feeling good, practicing gratitude, getting yourself into a higher vibrational stage. Because if you do that consistently, you're going to you're going to get into that higher vibrational stage more easily every single day, and you're going to be there. So the negative thoughts, negative doubts, and beliefs won't be there to a significant degree, and they'll dissipate. And over time, they will dissipate and dissolve. And when your manifestation comes, you'll be reminded of your power, and you'll be on that higher vibrational plane. So that really it's about being persistent, it's about being positive, it's about just allowing and just recognizing that the doubts aren't real. They have no real power. The only power is love. That is the only creative power. The only power that can create in this universe is love, and you have to get yourself there. You have to get yourself to that feeling good, feeling love, feeling gratitude, feeling all those good feelings that are connected to love, the most powerful creative force in the universe. So making sure that you're doing that every single day is going to be a huge, huge boon to your manifestation practice. Well, I hope this was good. I was standing on my tiptoes this whole time. I hope this was helpful. If it was, definitely hit that like button down below. It really helps my channel a lot. I really appreciate it. And if you aren't subscribed and you would like to be subscribed, and if you like law of attraction videos and health videos, because I also have those on my channel, hit that subscribe button down below. I'd love to have you here. In the meantime, I hope you have a good one. I'll see you later. Bye.